Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. Next one is from Rock.
Dude, Rock, man.
Rocket.
G'day, Disc Golf Answer Man crew. Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Eric McCabe, and Robert, I really hope you make 1,000 McCall.
My man.
Just want to say a huge thank you. I ordered a Lucid Warden the other day, and I put a little sneaky little request in, and lo and behold, it arrived at work because, that's how I do things to stop the missus from finding out. And it had a little signature from Robert McCall and Eric McCabe on my disc. I was a very happy chappy indeed.
Nice.
Very, very much so. Just wanted to
I must
ask
have been
a
out of
question
town
today about the things you...
I must have been out of town. I'm sorry, Rock.
You
I didn't get my
normally you would have
signature.
signed it.
Yeah,
but you
no, I
didn't.
would have. Yeah. So.
Good for
do
you,
to
man.
self-reflect mid-round. If you're having a bad throwing day, if your throw's just not quite firing on all cylinders, what's the little checklist you go through in your head? What questions do you ask for? What things do you look at in the technique of your throw to see whether you can get yourself back on track, as opposed to, standing there and throwing the disc out of bounds and having to re-tee and then throw it out of bounds and then start crying a little bit and your friends are there, but they're not there in a supportive way. They just look at you and, laugh a little bit of smirking. Someone gets their camera out, Now, just hoping to find a way of solving this stuff mid-round. Obviously not me, asking for a friend, of course. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. Bye-bye.
Awesome.
I was so hoping this guy would call in.
Rock is the man, dude. I love when he calls in with questions. Okay, Rock, here it is. And it's not going to be the answer that you expected, I promise.
Uh-oh.
But here it is. If you are struggling during a round, and you kind of need to reset and figure out what's going on with your technique, you probably don't need to change anything with your technique. What you do need to change is something with your brain, right? Most of the issues that you have on the course are mentally, are related to your mental game. At least that's how it is for me. And I'll say that here's a disclaimer ahead of time. If you've kind of grooved your form in, if you have pretty consistent form each time, if you spent time videoing yourself and making sure that your pull through is good and that your angles are good and that your footwork is good, your brace is good, everything like that. It doesn't even need to be perfect. It just needs to be where you understand how your game is. Almost every time I'm throwing poorly in a tournament, it's because I'm doing something wrong mentally. And for me, most of the time, that's not committing to my shot, right? So I'll think about my angle, but then I'll just kind of get lazy with it. Or I'll think about my angle, and then I'll really try to force it. Instead, what I do when I'm throwing poorly is I take a minute and think, I have to follow through. Follow through is the most important thing that you can do in disc golf. Across the board, bar none, if you follow through, even your bad shots can be okay because you're committing to what you think you're supposed to do. I never mess with my swing mid-round ever. Unless say I'm throwing a forehand and I know that I rolled my wrist over. Okay, I'll think keep my wrist up or something. But that's more about committing to the shot than it is changing a form thing. So across the board, I would say the biggest thing that you need to do is mentally commit to your shot and follow through. If I'm throwing poorly, those are usually the two culprits.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. The mentally committing thing, but I think as far as committing to what is kind of changes from person to person.
Sure.
Because I've never really had an issue with follow through, but I will lots of times just forget to reach back.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't usually end well. Sends the disc about 45 degrees to the right and way up in the air. My favorite Warden lands in the lake.
Rip.
That's fine. So I think it's about finding what to commit to. I know a lot of people like me won't commit to reaching back, or they'll get nervous and try and look at the target right as they're releasing.
Right.
And that's going to throw off your entire shot and make you pull it to the right as well. So I think what you're saying is just take a minute, just don't think about disc golf for a minute. Just take a second, find your happy place and just chill out. And then when it's time to throw, focus on committing to whatever part of your form you need to commit to and getting it done.
Yeah. And I always like my swing thought, or my thought on the box is just what's my target. I pick what I'm aiming at, and I don't think about any of the physics of the flight or anything like that. I just think about that thing and throw.